videos about leaving religion. The purpose of the videos is to get you to think. Turn your brains on and think. Use logic, use reason, and realize that religion is fake. Before I get into this video, today is March 18, 2019, and I finally had the honor and the privilege to meet face-to-face with my boy Ricky Swank from Begging for Change, ex-pastor Kevin Wesley, and Coach Lorenzo Reed. And as you see, I'm wearing the Kevin Wesley's group shirt, Born Winners, okay? I thank y'all for the shirt, and I mean, they had a gathering that went on here in Atlanta from the 15th to the 17th, and let me tell you, I had the best time of my life. Sitting around with a bunch of people that left religion, that don't believe it, can speak freely, share ideas, you know, from different angles, different perspectives of life. It was one of the best times I've had. And from now on, you know, I'll keep y'all informed whenever they have something that could be in a city near you. If you ever come out, it's nothing but love and fellowship and just a good time. I really enjoyed myself. And thanks, Ricky Swing, for inviting me out, and for Kevin for making me just feel like part of the family. I really appreciate it, and I love y'all, brothers. You can check out their pages as well, okay? And finally got to meet Lorenzo Reed, so I was totally honored, and all the other people that were there. So let me get into this video, y'all. For this video, I'm kind of responding to the last video I did about the Hebrew Israelites, and add a few things in. I see the comments have been kind of negative towards me, which is to be expected when you come against something that people strongly believe goes with the territory. And I noticed that a lot of the Hebrew Israelites that have commented from what you've said, I think this is the only video of mine you've seen. Whereas I got a lot of my other people, they've been following me, so they kind of understand where I've been to where I am now. Whereas some of you just saw one video and you might not get it. Now, I used to be in church, was an apostle in the church, well versed in the Bible, read the whole Bible, had a whole library that I had built around the Bible. And after doing further research outside of Bible books, found out what the truth was and things in history, okay? Now, some of you, I think you're getting confused that when I quote Bible scriptures, you're saying, well, you say you don't believe in God and the Bible is fake, but you're quoting the scriptures. Keep it in context. If I'm using it to show you that believe it, what your book is saying. And I can say your book is really everybody's book. It really doesn't belong to one type of person. The book is a book. It belongs to everyone. But I'm showing you, if you say you believe it, this is what your book says. And no, I'm not saying that it's real, or I'm not saying that I believe it. All right, so understand that. I see some of you, the Hebrew Israelites, commenting about I'm putting all the tribes together, or the different sects together, and I'm not doing that. I'm not trying to get all deep into the Hebrew Israelite religion or cult, because I'm not trying to be one. I'm out of it. All right, so I'm just stating what I stated, and in fact, on the last video, I said I'm really not going to get into depth into a lot of things. So even this one, I'm not gonna just go super deep. I'm just gonna get into a few things and explain some stuff, because I got my other viewers. If you notice, all of my videos start out, they say leaving religion. So people who have left religion have questions, and I'm explaining things for them. And I even see somebody made a video about me. Cool. I mean, I don't really care. Whatever. So I'm gonna get into it, and also today I'm gonna be kind of paraphrasing from a book written by Israel Finkelstein and Neil Asher Silverman. It's called The Bible Unearthed. All right, The Bible Unearthed, and they use archaeology to prove what's in the Bible and what's not, when things happen, when they didn't. It gives a true timeline based on archaeological evidence from scholars and what have you, all right? Whereas people saying, well, there's proof of Jesus rising from the grave, or Yahshua, or Yahudah, whatever you want to call him. There is no proof. If somebody said, well, there's an empty tomb, that doesn't mean somebody came out of it. Could have been a tourist attraction, as they have done anyway. They've moved sites over there for people to visit. So there is no archaeological proof that Yahshua, Jesus, ever existed. And then the scholars that do say, well, there might have been a man, and he was a rebel against the system of Rome, and then he was put to death, and he had followers. And okay, and then from there it turns into a legend where people are adding on the virgin birth and multiplying bread and fish and healing people, bringing the dead back, walking on water. He died and was resurrected. Now you're adding in legend, but they're never saying when they say that this person might have existed as just a person, they're not saying that the gospel accounts are real. Two separate things. They're not saying, a lot of times, like they even say that David and Solomon actually existed. But are the stories in the Bible about them and how big the kingdom was and all the women saw, is that part true? They're not saying that's true at all. There's no proof of none of that stuff. They can't even find Solomon's temple. But let me get into it. A few things I wanted to mention. This is one thing I wanted to say, because I know that the Hebrew Israelites read out of the King James 1611. And if you have one of those versions, even the font in the Bible is very difficult to read. A lot of words have actually been changed in that version because they don't apply today. And anyway, I mean, if you go back to the earliest versions of the Bible, which most of them are in Greek rather than in Hebrew, you'll see it's been edited according to what was going on in history. It was used as a propaganda, so things got changed for them to appear in the book the way they wanted things to be, but in actual history, that's not what happened. Okay, they were not this people that you might think that they are. And then let's get into this part, because a lot of people want to come up and say, well, Deuteronomy 28 says this, and it came true, and you went into Egypt in ships, and you'll be sold, and that's when we came to America. But if you know anything about the transatlantic slave trade, which actually started with the Portuguese, and I believe it was 1526, and it lasted to about the 1880s. But mind you, if it started in 1526, your King James version is 1611. So by this point, the trading was already going on, and they were using the book to give permission to sell Africans as slaves. The book just gave well, God said it's okay, so we can do it. And they edited the book and added that stuff in. If you look in, the older versions don't have a whole lot of this stuff in there. But since it's being used as propaganda, yet again, they changed it. So they added things in during the slave trade. It's no big secret, okay? And this is another thing. Most of the slaves, well, I even wrote it down. Yeah, 48% of the slaves, they say, went to the Caribbean. 41% of them went to the Brazil. What was it? Brazil. And 5% went to the U.S. So which Egypt are you talking about? You talking about the Caribbean, the islands? Or are we talking about Brazil? Or are you talking about the 5% that came to America? And anyway, the book says Egypt. It doesn't say America, it doesn't say Brazil, it doesn't say Caribbean. It says Egypt. But I know, yet again, you don't have understanding of what it really means. It's words on a page. It's not that deep. It's words on a page. But I'm going to get into the book, the Bible Unearthed, and read a few things. And one of the things that I had stated before, and it's no secret, that the Israelites are Canaanites. I'll say it again. The Israelites are Canaanites. That's why they try to make it appear in the book that they utterly destroyed the Canaanites. Okay, let me get back doing some editing here about the Israelites are originally Canaanites, and like I said, this is no secret. And even in your Bible, there are instances where they mention things like mostly familiar with in Genesis 9:25, when Noah said, "Cursed be Canaan." Who was Canaan? The Israelites, or later to be the Israelites. And the situation in, what is that, in Judges, where if we go through Judges, all right, in Judges chapter 1, and it says, chapter 1, verse 28, "And it came to pass when Israel was strong, that they put the Canaanites to tribute and did not utterly drive them out." Verse 29, "Neither did Ephraim drive out the Canaanites that dwelt in Gezer, but the Canaanites dwelt in Gezer among them. Neither did the Zebulun drive out the inhabitants of Kitron, nor the inhabitants of Naholol, but the Canaanites dwelt among them and became tributaries." So as you read down, you see they didn't drive the Canaanites out, and they dwelt among them. Well, that was simple because the Israelites came out of the Canaanite culture. So it's just a simple way to put in literature as if they destroyed them or got rid of them, when in actuality, you are those people. You're just trying to change your name, but you are those people. But I'm gonna go through. I was gonna read what it said. I'm gonna try to paraphrase a little more to so that, keep the interest of the people. But in this book, the Bible Unearthed, I'm going into chapter 1. Matter of fact, that was another thing I wanted to mention. Because I've been called on this video in the comments an Edomite, and I don't understand how Edom, or better known as his original name Esau, became Edom, and just like his twin brother Jacob became Israel. But how does one become the father of the white people and one become the father of the black people when they have the same mother and father, but they're twins? That doesn't make sense. Twin brothers. But one of them, the father of the whites, the other the father of the blacks. I'm going to skip past that because I don't even want to get into Edom. Edom was a people as well. Okay, let's see if I keep this short here. It even mentions that one of the earliest extra biblical mentions of the Israelites is in the stele, the Pharaoh Meneptah stele, or Pharaoh Meneptah, who had the stele. The first instance that Israel was ever even mentioned outside of the Bible was here, and we're talking about around 1200 BCE. So, but already it says here, the Israelites emerged only gradually as a distinct group in Canaan, beginning at the end of the 13th century BCE. There is no recognizable archaeological evidence of Israel's presence in Egypt immediately before that. So, we get to talking about the Exodus and the 400 years of slavery in Egypt. It's stories in a book. Stories in a book. And yet again, let's go here. I shouldn't mention the page number. This is page 59, where he's talking about if a great mass of fleeing Israelites had passed through the borders and fortifications of the Pharaonic regime, a record should exist. Yet in the abundant Egyptian sources describe the time of the New Kingdom in general, in the 13th century in particular, there is no reference to the Israelites, not even a single clue. Nothing is mentioned of the Israelites fleeing from Egypt and, in a big group of people. It just doesn't exist. It didn't happen. And let me make this clear, that at this time, Egypt controlled Canaan. So if the Israelites were fleeing out of Egypt and going into Canaan, first they couldn't have left in such a great group without there already being military there as they went through, not chasing them as the book said, but already there at the fortification, they would have already been there. And then if you were going to Canaan, you're just going back somewhere that Egypt owns. So that would have been pointless, but yet again, it's part of the story. Remember that is part of the story. This is on page 91. It says the German scholars had always considered the book of Joshua to be complex collection of legends, hero tales, local myths from various parts of the country that had been composed over the centuries. So they don't even consider the book of Joshua to be historical or real. Like they said, it's a collection of legends, hero tales, and local myths. It's not real. This is what we're saying in the book. And I know people are going to say, well, you going to believe that one book? You believe that one book? Come on now. You believe in the one book, and we're going by archaeological evidence. That means there's something tangible, showing things that was written, not somebody talking about something that never happened. What am I talking about? Page 104. Early Israelites were neither invading raiders nor infiltrating nomads, but peasant rebels who fled from the cities of Canaan to the empty highlands. So, like I said, all of the evidence is just showing that these people are not who they said they were. It's just propaganda. It says here on page 153, the surveys show that the emergence of the Israelites in the highlands of Canaan was not a unique event, but actually just one in a series of demographic oscillations that could be traced back for millennia. So this was a gradual coming together of them. I'm going to skip back here to the back, read one, and then I'm going to read one other one, and I'm going to be done with this part for real. Before I have wanted to read all of this, I am not reading all of this. But it talks about how the Assyrians had left the northern regions of the land, and when they left, then the Israelites figured, oh, we can go ahead and take over that land that the Assyrians left. But it says such an ambitious plan would require active and powerful propaganda. The book of Deuteronomy established the unity of the people of Israel and the centrality of the national cult place. But it was the Deuteronomistic history and parts of the Pentateuch that would create an epic saga to express the power and passion of a resurgent Judah's dreams. This is presumably the reason why the authors and editors of the Deuteronomistic history and parts of the Pentateuch gathered and reworked the most precious traditions of the people of Israel to gird the nation for a great national struggle that lay ahead. So what are they saying here? That they took their writings, which we call the Old Testament, and they went back and reworked them, edited them to fit them moving into the land where the Assyrians had left. And they're going to add in how they fought great wars and did all of these things when none of this stuff happens. Let me read this last one. I think I'm going to be done for this. This is back on page 118. It says the process that we described here is in fact the opposite of what we have in the Bible. And the process is that the Israelites came and fought and destroyed the Canaanites. That's the process they're talking about. It says, but the process that we describe here is in fact the opposite of what we have in the Bible. The emergence of early Israel was an outcome of the collapse of the Canaanite culture, not its cause. And most of the Israelites did not come from outside Canaan. They emerged from within it. There was no mass exodus from Egypt. There was no violent conquest of Canaan. Most of the people who formed early Israel were local people. The same people whom we see in the highlands throughout the Bronze and Iron Ages. The early Israelites were, irony of ironies, themselves originally Canaanites. That's what the scholars said in the book, the Bible Unearthed. And if you read the book, because I'm holding the book and read the book, if you go through and in the back, they're going to show you pages and pages of books of other scholars that they used to compose the book as well. So the two guys might have wrote the book, but a lot of the archaeological work and things that were done by a group of scholars. It's just all collected in one book. Like you talk about your Bible. The Bible is a collection of books. Well, this is a collection of information of books. And as people say, well, the archaeology shows that the Bible is real. The archaeology shows that the Bible lies. It's not telling the truth. Most of its characters are not even real. David and Solomon did exist, they say, but David having this huge kingdom that took up all of Jerusalem was not true. He had a small clan, and that was about it. Solomon was the same. They still haven't found, like I say, the foundation for Solomon's temple. It's just not real. So I know, of course, people are going to get upset, and you reading a book written by Edomites and all kind of excuses, but the information is there. And like I said, while you're believing something based on no evidence, people have gone out and found the evidence, and it's there if you want to acknowledge it. So either you can sit around and act like it doesn't exist, but you keep believing your book, or you go ahead and come into the real world and look at real stuff that happened and move on. All right? Hebrew Israelite, like I said, is still just another religion. Black Christianity, if your nationality comes from you believing something, that's a religion. If you got a higher power and all of that you're worshiping, you're in a religion. If you're waiting on somebody to come back to save you because you don't have sense enough to go ahead and realize they don't exist and save yourself, you're in a religion. So put the book down, get some work done, or this stuff is not going to, ain't no Yahoo to use Yeshua. Nobody's coming back to get you. It's not going to happen. These folks done tricked you into waiting on stuff while they're taking everything. That's how it all happens. You wait, we take. So I'm going to keep that short and sweet. I'm going to see how this looks when I watch it myself. And again, don't forget my people with the born winners, not born sinners, born winners. We don't need somebody to help us. We need to help ourselves. We are God. We help ourselves, all right? Y'all take care out there. Peace.